Hey everyone, my name's Amala, and in today's video we'll be watching our 8-mask clear of the Vision of Stormwind. You'll see that I've made a lot of mistakes during this run, and it's not very efficient in most areas, I don't think. So just expect that going in, but I'm still happy that we completed it, and I think that's all that matters. If you're watching this, you probably already know about the masks and how visions work, but just for those that don't, each faceless mask that you put on adds a different effect to your visions run, and it also increases the health and damage of all enemies by 25% for each mask, and that equals 200% total if you have all 8 masks on. And then you'll get 20% increased corrupted mementos, which is 140% at 8 masks. And just to give a brief rundown of what each mask itself does, the Long Night mask reduces max sanity by 50%. The Burned Bridge will spawn little void zones underneath you when you walk. As you can see now, behind me there are little void zones dropping. If you stand in those zones, you lose some sanity every second. I think it's 30 sanity per second. We'll see that happen a couple times during this run. I had to double check there what was the bad potion. So the green potion is the bad potion here. And then the Mask of the Daredevil, all sanity damage that enemies deal are increased by 400%. So a lot of the mobs around Stormwind and Orgrimmar will deal damage not just to your health but your sanity as well. So you need to be very careful how much sanity you're losing when you're fighting those creatures, or just avoid / interrupt their sanity damage dealing abilities. The Mask of the Pained, by default, or I guess the base effect of each area, you get 1 madness applied to you, and then the Mask of the Pained will make it so you have 2 madnesses in areas that you go to. So right now we have Promised Power that gives you a damage debuff, but if you stand in the little purple zone like what spawned there for me, you get a damage increase instead. And then the second effect here with Bloodthirsty will, I think it restores 1% of your HP for every enemy within the circle when it starts, or when it stops filling up that circle there. The Mask of Dark Imagination, when you're below 50% sanity, a void creature will spawn occasionally. You'll see that quite a few times during this run, if I remember right. Unless it was a different run where I had bad luck with that. Mask of Vengeance. Whenever you kill an enemy, surrounding enemies will have their damage done increased by 15% for each stack. So basically our strat for dealing with that is we try to take out the strong creatures first if we can. Otherwise, if we need to take out the little guys first, or if that's just how that happens, we try to avoid damage from the big boys. We spawned Hogger on the bridge there just to make it easier to deal with him. We can just wild charge off of the bridge to avoid most of his damage, because he'll die by the time he reaches us. Last 2 masks. Mask of the Nemesis just makes a lot more ads spawn, or not ads, just enemies spawn around the whole vision. And then, Mask of Multitudes is what makes more enemies spawn. And then Mask of the Nemesis, every 25 kills, the Nemesis of that vision will spawn. So in this one it's Hogger, in Orgrimmar it is Gammon. And that is all 8 masks. This building here was open for this run, thankfully. It gives you a 10% damage buff if you make it through the building without touching any of the mines. I had to go really slow because I have nerve problems in my hands and they're a bit shaky, so sometimes I've been veering off into the mines without meaning to. And yeah, so for the rest of the run, we've had some mistakes so far, like letting my health fall too low when I really should have gone a bit slower. But so far, it's not going too badly despite the mistakes. We haven't lost a whole lot of our sanity. We're killing the elites pretty frequently, so we're topped up on sanity quite a bit. In all of our attempts, we haven't had too much trouble in Dwarven district here. This has been probably our most consistent area. This one, and of course Cathedral, because you don't spend a whole lot of time in Cathedral Square. There's not like an elite there until the very, very end of the vision that we have to deal with. I wasn't expecting Hogger here, I don't think. I didn't have, or I had my cooldowns up, but I was planning on using it on the boss. Throughout this run and the others that I attempted, I had trouble focusing on keeping track of all of our kills. At the top you can see a counter there. I tunnel vision on what we're doing, and I don't always notice the UI that tells me important things like how many kills until Hogger spawns. So there's a couple times where you might see me panic a little bit when I'm trying to recover from... I forgot here what the bad potion was, but I think I thought about it a little bit and decided not to risk it. I think at some point I do actually drink a green potion, because I forgot that it was bad. But yeah, you'll see me panic a little bit in a couple areas where I wasn't expecting Hogger to spawn, because I stopped paying attention to the UI while I was tunnel visioning on how best to deal with some of these pulls. Overall, our 8 mask attempts here, I think it took us 10 attempts, 5 or 6 on stream and 4 or 5 off stream for us to clear it. As I said, we didn't really have any trouble in Dwarven District here. It's been pretty consistent with all of our runs. It was always either Old Town or Mage District that caused us the most trouble. Old Town specifically, our trouble was all of the informants. Since we have a long cooldown on our group AoE, our solar beam there, we weren't always able to interrupt the channeled stun that they did. So there were a couple times, I think, in earlier runs where what really killed us was getting back-to-back stuns because we kept pulling after we used our solar beam on a previous group. Most of the groups have just 2 of the informants, but a couple, I think 2 groups have 3 informants, and that's what kind of messed us up in those attempts. That on top of our potion buffs here, like the orange, purple, or purple, red, and so on, those kind of buffs would always run out when we get to Old Town without me realizing. So that, right when they start casting that channeled stun, always kind of screwed us in the Old Town area. They also cast the same thing over in Mage District, I believe. But that wasn't really the issue we had in Mage District. It was more of the Void Buffet that the Void Walkers would cast. That increased the shadow damage that was dealt to us, and the casters over in that area had quite a few spells that deal shadow damage, and some of it was channeled too, so if I didn't get out of line of sight in time, I was still getting dealt damage because of the channeled spell. I think I wasn't expecting Hogger here either. If I was, I think I would have waited for at least one of my cooldowns to be up. Either my Trinket or Incarnation and Convoke. Or sorry, Celestial Alignment and Convoke. And this was several attempts I kept saying to myself I needed to rebind Starfall, because I have it bound to U, which the key next to it brings up the dungeon finder, and I kept forgetting to rebind Starfall finally. So Old Town, you'll see me fighting in the canals a lot. I'll just drag things out to the canals just so I have more room to maneuver, because a lot of the Old Town areas up until you get close to SI7, you're fighting in like narrow places. So I like having more room to move around and avoid like the melee abilities some of these guys have. And I also use some of the corners over in this area leading to the canals to, I guess, line of sight interrupt a lot of the spellcasters.
Damn you, sanguine.
This elite never really gave us any trouble. I didn't use my cooldowns on them. So here are two of the informants. We used our trees AoE there to take them down. That way we didn't have to interrupt. This was bad position, so I typhooned there. Because I wasn't sure if there was going to be one of those shadow personality things behind me. So this pool has an executioner, and what I learned about executioners that wasn't super consistent, but it worked most of the time, was when I casted my trees, they wouldn't pull me anymore. The executioners wouldn't pull me in, which helped out a lot. Problem was, it didn't always work, and I realized it was because I was always attacking the executioners too quickly after bringing out my tree ants. If I waited like an extra second or two after pulling with them, I think the executioners would use that ability on the tree ants, so it was on cooldown for them. I think that one has an executioner as well. I think that's the one on the left, so we're waiting for trees to come back up. And then we're also waiting for the split personalities there to disappear. Yeah, you can see I got pulled in by the executioner there because I pretty much aggroed right after bringing out the trees with my Sunfire. So if I could redo that, I would just not do that. So this is another area where I made a couple mistakes this run. Namely, I didn't keep an eye on when some of my potion buffs were expiring that would CC me like that, or I got disoriented. Or maybe it was technically got feared, I don't know. That horseshoe always tripped me up. I was thinking that it was always a potion. You can see I'm waiting for the personalities to go away in case I got pulled in. Because that did actually happen to me one run. I don't know if it was this one with the next group, but in one run I got pulled in by an executioner as the split personalities appeared. So not only did I get my spellcast interrupted by getting pulled in, but I also got disoriented right after because of me going over the split personality when I got pulled in. I'm waiting for my tree ants here for this guy. And then I'm waiting for the personalities to go away there too. I started paying a bit more attention to the UI elements in this area just because I failed so many runs in Old Town. And then I decided to pull those side groups on the right while waiting for my cooldowns to come back up. And I messed up with a charge there. I think I meant to cast something else. I don't know if I fumbled or what, but my backup plan for a lot of these attempts was just to kite backwards towards the canals if I messed something up. And I'm not sure, I don't remember how those got pulled. I didn't really see it there. But we pulled extra by mistake somehow, and thankfully, I think we made it out all right here. Hogger is about to spawn, and I think I realized that because I made some more distance between us and the mobs over there. And I pre-healed a little bit here before I ran away. Oh, that's right. I thought my charge was up, so I tried to charge there, but I think it was coming just off of cooldown, or I was hitting it and it didn't go off, one of those two. So I swam all the way over here so I can make my way back up using charge. You can see the swamp beast, or sewer beast there, rather, was spawned, but I don't think we went back to get it. But we went into the water to de-aggro everything, and then came back to kill Hogger because we needed that sanity regen. You got 150 sanity for every elite that you killed. So Mask of Multitudes plus Nemesis is actually a really strong combo. I'm not too upset with those. But combining it with some of the madnesses here is kind of awful. Like Leaden Foot, whenever you're moving in combat, you get stacks of a movement speed, or debuff. You go slower, and then the only way to stop the debuff from climbing up and get rid of the stacks was to stop moving, or you could shapeshift out of Moonkin form if you're a balanced druid, or any form if you're a druid. You could probably Ghost Wolf out of it as Shaman too, but I don't really know much about Shamans. I do have a max Shaman, but I don't do any challenging content on it. I mainly use it for professions. I was debating if I wanted to pull that group there, but I decided since I had my cooldowns up, I wouldn't delay fighting Shaw here. This one was probably my best attempt on Shaw in all of my 8-mask attempts here. I would wait until he disappeared before using my cooldowns, just because they would be interrupted by him disappearing there. I didn't really want to waste Convoke. But I played this one very carefully. I didn't focus too much on dealing damage to him. I just kept my dots up as much as I could. It just worked out really well on this one that my Convoke mostly did actual damaging abilities rather than lower damage dealing abilities like Swipe. It would sometimes cast from a bear form. Or not Swipe. What is it? Maul? I don't know. It's one of the AoE abilities from bear form that it casts. I haven't tanked in a decade at least. It's one of the bear form abilities. So overall, there were a couple of mistakes in this old town, but it was pretty clean compared to all my other attempts. So I was feeling a bit hopeful of this run as we got into Trade District here, but I was still trying to be very careful when I could. I tried to pay more attention to the UI, but I think there is still a couple Hogger spawns that caught me off guard. There was only one attempt where I messed up big time here in Trade District. I tried to fight the Spellcaster Elite here without most of my cooldowns, and that was a bad idea because I also had my Solar Beam off cooldown, so I couldn't interrupt it when it was dealing its sanity damaging spell that it channels. So I lost all of my sanity fighting that thing one time. You can see I got a bit frustrated there because I think one of my mushrooms aggroed the gnome there. I decided to try to keep it out of the way by putting a train down over there. I wasn't really planning on killing him, but I think I put it down. Yeah, I put it way too far down his patrol route. I don't think he goes that far. But basically I was just hoping that he would go mess with the train for a while so I could continue dragging things out into the canals without him bothering us. And I think this is the run where he also messed with us a bit on the Mage District side of the canals. I used my vortex there to try to keep the gnome from getting too far towards us. So that group specifically, yeah, I was going to say, if I left combat here, that group specifically is the one that de-aggroes if you go too far out of trade district, whereas all of the others don't seem to do that. So like those burrowing appendages, I think that one is one of the only ones that will start evading if you go too far out of trade district here. I think there might be one other over in the Mage District that does the same thing too, because I remember something evading us there, but I can't remember if it was the tentacles. Yeah, it felt like that was the only one in Trade District that would do that. I would do it several times in other runs, and I had no issues with the other tentacles when I pulled them out of trade. I think all that's left on this side is the spellcaster boss. Yep. But our cooldowns are down, so I decided to take on some of the smaller groups because I didn't want to repeat of earlier runs. Since my tree ants would be up before the other larger cooldowns, I decided to use trees to clear out some of these smaller groups more quickly so I could progress faster. I always have trouble clicking on the small potions, and it extends to other things like the mislaid curiosities and delves I would always have trouble clicking on. Thankfully they made the goblin delve curiosities larger. On patch launch they were the tiniest thing ever. I could not interact with them most of the time. Cooldowns are almost back up. I think we do one more pull of a group here before we continue. Or we just wait. I think we wait. So yeah, for most of our trade district pulls here, what I ended up deciding doing is I would use my cooldowns on the Inquisitor here, and then instead of just waiting a minute and a half or 2 minutes for them to come back up, I would clear the other groups in the surrounding area. Whereas in normal lower mask runs, I wouldn't really bother using cooldowns on those guys, but they deal so much sanity damage that I just had to this time. So we don't really have to use the canal anymore, I don't think. I think I wasn't expecting Augur there, otherwise I would have actually went into the canal to prepare on a bridge for him. But we ended up alright. We didn't really have any issue with his enrage at all. I noticed we've done enough damage to him in a short enough time that whenever he gets to casting his maddening call, we usually don't have any issues with him after that, because he'll enrage during that cast, and then by the time the cast is done, or I get far enough away to interrupt him, he'll be dead before he reaches us. Plus I have Soothe anyway. Sometimes I just mistime it, but we haven't really had an issue with him reaching us after enraging for most of our attempts, thankfully. I think he might have once or twice in this run, but I don't know if that was when Enrage was active or if I soothed it in time. In here, we decided we're good to start the fight. I even start it while the Dark Delusion is on me. I normally try to do 3 Star Surges there, but I noticed that if I did that and then went into Convoke, parts of Convoke were wasted. I think like a second or 2 were wasted. So it would take just a little bit longer to kill that guy, and he would use the chains. I couldn't remember if the chains did sanity damage, so I figured just doing 2 star surges into Convoke instead of 3 were better, because it wouldn't take as long to break his chains by killing him, pretty much. We're just cleaning up the rest of the groups here. I think we'll have 1 Hogger spawn by killing the Tumor in Mage District, because I think this group only has 5 or 6. Couldn't count the health bars in time there. Okay, yeah, 2 of the corrupted tumors, or whatever they're called, into Mage District are good enough to spawn Hogger. Can't remember if I did that or if I killed something out in the canals. I think I stopped here because I was drinking water or something. I don't know why. I wasn't waiting on cooldowns or anything. That was weird. Oh no, I was replying to someone because they were blowing up my Discord DMs. I think that's what I was doing. So Mage District up ahead was what caused us the most trouble on high mask runs. Mainly 7 and 8, I think, is where we had the most trouble. The small guys that were in the entryway up ahead, they kept respawning too quickly for us to get too far without more of them spawning. And then the more of them that spawned, the more often Hogger would spawn. So we'd have to drag them out into the canals each time. And finally I decided, you know what, let's just kill this initial group here, and then we're going to stealth past the rest. Just to try to clear an extra group further in. That way, when we kite back into the canals to kill that one group, when we go back in, we don't have to worry about fighting too closely to the small dudes that hung out in that area that spawned from the portals. I think they spawned from the portals at least. I don't know how we didn't pull the gnome there. As you can see, I circled the group with my cursor. I don't know how I didn't pull them there. I think I was surprised in the moment as well, because I was totally expecting company there. I used my trees there to get that channel over with quickly, and I wild charged into the personalities, but we're all good. Can't remember if I pulled these guys into the canal or not. I thought I did. I mean, I thought I pulled the last group into the canals. See what I'm... Oh, I remember. I'm prepping a Hogger spawn here because he's about to spawn. So I decided to pull these 3, and then we're going out into the canals after dotting them up. And I'm waiting on my cooldowns as well to kill Hogger with. You can see what I mean. These guys, they're like ruthless. They spawn so much. They don't do practically any damage, but when they really stack up, especially when Hogger spawns, that does a lot more damage to us if they die to like Convoke and whatnot. I think it might have been... Okay, if I didn't crit there, it was going to be a bad idea using Convoke in the water there, because Hogger could have evaded. I don't believe he can get in the water here. So he might have been... if we took any longer, he might have started evading our Convoke. So we stealth the rest of the way up, or at least halfway up this area here. I'm going to wait for the personalities to go away. And then we use our trees to kill this group more quickly. So the Void Walker there uses Void Buffet, which is very annoying when everything does shadow damage. Or so many things, I guess, do shadow damage. Like that caster over there. Then we have more little guys coming. I remember there was one attempt where, I think it was the last attempt I did on stream. I decided to try Mage District first, which was a bad idea, but I just did it for shits and giggles. I just wanted to try something fun. And by the time I got to this area, Hogger had spawned, and I thought, you know what would be really cool? If I pulled this creepy crawly elite thing up here and used Convoke and all my other cooldowns on it and Hogger at the same time, how cool would it be if I killed them both like that? And I died. But it would have been cool if I didn't. So here I'm trying to be careful not to kill too many things before I pull the Boundless Corruption here. That's what it's called. So I wanted to get rid of it before Hogger spawned. I got a little frustrated because of the disorient. I also circled the light pole for some reason. I'm gonna have to go back and look, but was this the run where my trees spawned on top of the light post by mistake? I couldn't see the trees there, so that might have been it. See, whenever I circle my mouse like that, it's usually one of two things. I'm really annoyed at something that happened in that area I'm circling, or I'm trying to bring attention to something like the Nemesis kill counter. So I think I was just trying to point out that the trees spawned there, if that's the run I'm thinking of. I don't know why else I would have circled that area. Almost instantly soothed the enrage. And then we're gonna stealth back in, I think, once these personalities go away. You see, I would try to thread the needle, but things like that would happen where my hands would do a little shake because of issues I have with them, and I would always hit the side of the hitbox and get disoriented. Yeah, I stealthed back in. I might use trees on this portal, probably. Yeah. My trees are up so much that I decided to use them on all of the portals that I could. And then I guess I also decided on using my cooldowns on both of these portals, dudes. That was actually kind of risky because I think I tried that a couple times, but I would always have something come up, like one of my potion buffs expiring, or I would get hit by the split personality because I would wild charge into one by mistake. So that was a bit risky for me. The trees spawned right next to me there instead of in the group for some reason. I didn't notice that before. Because I for sure had the green circle over in that area. I guess they just couldn't find the path. But usually it would give me an error that the path couldn't be found if that happened. Green potion bad. But, okay, no. There was one attempt where I accidentally drank one of the bad potions because I was thinking the bad potion was one from a previous run. I could have sworn it was one of the green ones that I drank here, but I guess I didn't drink any green ones. Because in a previous run, the black potion was bad, green was good. And that's what mixed me up in one of the attempts. Oh yeah, so this one was all sorts of messed up. I kept pulling backward to try to get out of range of the spells. I got hit by Void Buffet here, so I needed to climb the ramp here to the Mage Tower so I could try to avoid their spell casts. I would line of sight it using the ramp here. And I did that by complete mistake. Well, I wasn't trying to do it at least, but I fell over because I thought, well, let's just try to move away because I won't be able to cast if I keep going up. They'll just follow me. So I decided to just fall down and try to use like Star Surge on the way down, but I accidentally line of sighted their spell, so they didn't finish the channel, the Mind Flay channel there that they were trying to do. because I line of sighted them at the perfect time using the bridge as I was falling down. So here I was going to use my cooldowns on the spellcaster, but Hogger spawned. I wasn't really paying a whole lot of attention. For the briefest moment, I thought, oh man, what if I just pulled the spellcaster too and then used Convoke? And then I remembered the previous, the last run on stream from earlier that day. And I was like, no, let's not do that. So I started pulling some of the other groups so I could clear out the other portals while waiting for my cooldowns to come back up. I probably didn't need most of my cooldowns for the spellcaster, but I wanted to play very safely. Because at this moment in time, this right here is the furthest I've gotten in Mage District for any of my attempts. And I did not really want to mess it up by being overconfident. Especially when anything could go wrong. Like my potion buffs could expire during the fight if I wasn't paying attention. Obviously, judging by my cooldown bar, that wouldn't have happened, but I wasn't paying much attention, you know? That was a risk, so I don't know if I would have unstealthed if I hit one of the personalities there. That would have been awful if I did. I used my tree ants because they were going to be up almost around the same time that my cooldowns were up. You close this portal, and then there's the one left that has that spellcaster dude. So we just wait about 10 seconds here for our trees to come back up. And then we just have no trouble with this guy. I probably would have been fine like cooldowns without cooldowns like I said, but I just wanted to be very, very safe. Even if it meant waiting like 2 minutes for cooldowns to come back up when we got to Umbric in the Mage Tower. So we're on our way up. We're gonna have to wait in the area for a little while. In a couple of our runs, we actually got a very fast kill on Umbric. Just everything lined up perfectly to where we were using Convoke during his channeled spell. So he wouldn't teleport away. And then either the moment he teleported away or just before he was about to, he would die in those attempts. I think this is not one of those attempts though. I think we had both teleports here. If I remember right, he even teleported from right to left before we even made it all the way to him. Like we would get, I think, 3/4 of the way to him through the wind, and then he would teleport. So we couldn't refresh our dots, if I'm remembering right. That could have been a different attempt that I'm remembering, but it might be this one. We'll see in about 20 seconds. You can see me circling my cooldowns. Showing that I'm waiting for them to come back up. Again, this is the furthest that we had gotten to in any of our attempts of 8 masks. So at this point I was feeling a bit nervous. I didn't want to make any dumb mistakes that I'm prone to making. So I also restored my sanity here and started fighting them while doing so. I accidentally used Solar Beam here while I was hitting Convoke because the keys are close together. I'd probably need to rebind Solar Beam at some point, but we might have been able to kill him quickly if it wasn't for me using my Convoke there. And as you can see, it was probably good that I used the Sanity Restoration Orb there because he took out a quarter, actually almost half of our sanity bar with that spell. And then he took out even more here. I think I technically died at one point there. I don't remember seeing that before. Actually, no, because, yeah, I have one less orb there. So I think I technically died during that fight, but my one-time revive using a sanity orb kicked in. So here we're waiting for our cooldowns to come back up. I'll go inside in a little bit to start the RP while we're waiting, but I'm probably also replying to someone, to be honest. And then here I'm triple checking or double checking whatever that we've cleared all of the areas, because there was one time I did 3 masks on week 1, and I thought, oh, okay, we got everything down, let's go kill a Illyria here. And then it turns out I missed one of the people that we were supposed to save in Trade District. So here we're using our Sanity Orb. We are going to play extremely carefully against Illyria here, as we usually do. I'm not going to focus too much on casting her when I don't know where the eyes are, because I don't want to accidentally look at one. And also, there was one attempt on, I think, 5 masks, where I was behind a pillar to avoid her Void Eruption, and I accidentally walked as I was trying to adjust myself a little bit, because I thought I was still in her line of sight. I accidentally walked along, like, the lip of the base of the pillar, and it kind of pushed me forward out into the open in front of her Void Eruption there. So I died. I lost that 5 mask attempt just because I was trying to position myself too accurately, I guess, or precisely. So I don't want to focus a whole lot on facing her and casting when I could just use dots, Star Surges when I can as I'm wandering around, and, you know, use my Treants and hard casts when I know where the eye is, like right now. I'm not super worried about where all of the AoE effects are going here. My main thing here is just trying to avoid all of the sanity damage dealing effects from the eye and Illyria. As a druid, we're immune to her polymorph there, thankfully. I assume other classes that don't have shapeshift forms, I would assume you have to line of sight it with the pillars, is my guess. I adjust a little bit here because I'm worried, and then I take a lot of sanity damage there because of the eye. But we've done it. Couple Star Surges at the end and we've done it. So I was really proud of this run. I made a lot of mistakes. I was very inefficient, I think, in some areas. I was a bit worried as I loaded in there because that chest was like not highlighted correctly. So I thought, what did I do wrong? I triple checked and it just took a bit to highlight. So yeah, I was really happy with my 8 mask runs here. We'll see what we got reward-wise from here. I don't think anything good. But yeah, I'm looking forward to our 8 mask Orgrimmar runs this week. I will have another video up of it as I finish it. And if you guys want an unedited / un-commentated version of this run, I will have it linked in the description. I probably should have said that earlier, but I did not think of it at the time. But yeah, it'll be in the description. I'll have it unlisted on my channel. So if you want the uncommented version, if you don't like hearing my voice, it's totally fine. I'll have it linked there. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Peace.